Okay, here are the 4.2 notes, measures of central tendency. This is page 1. So we're going to start the top here with some notation. We will always use, remembering that a sample comes from a larger population, always use the small n to denote the sample size. So if there are 4 pieces of data in our sample, n would be 4. If there were 18 pieces of data in our sample, n would be 18. So if little n is the sample size, then capital N is the size of the population that we are drawing from. Okay. Moving down, we have x sub I, and that I is actually a subscript. And the I stands for a number. And this just kind of marks the place of a data item in the data set. We don't use this a whole lot, only to show that we are adding up multiple numbers within the data set. We have a capital sigma. That means we're adding numbers together. We have, didn't plan well, X with a little line over this is called X bar. That is our mean or our average for a sample. And then we have the Greek letter mu, which is our population mean. You always use Greek letters for the population, I guess other than sample size or population size up there. Okay. So we are going to talk about finding the mean. That is a measure of center. We find the mean by adding everything together and dividing by however many data values we have. Okay? For a long time, we've called it the average. It is the average, the mathematical or arithmetic average. So here, I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My sample size is 6, so that little n equals 6. To calculate the mean, we are going to add up all 6 data items, and then we're going to divide by 6. When we add that numerator, we get 468 divided by 6. The mean of this sample is 78. Which makes sense. 78 is roughly in the middle of all of the data that we have. This also means that if I were to add 78 6 times, so we're kind of leveling out our data set, and sometimes we don't think of it this way, and divide by 6, I would get 78. Just a different way to look at it. Okay. We are going to add a 7th student into the class. This student, though, missed the exam and got a 0. So what I'm going to do is rewrite. I'm going to take this 6. I'm going to add a 0 to that and divide by 7 because now we have 7 scores. I want to point out that this is exactly the same as if we would have just taken the sum we got before, that 468, and added a 0 to that. I get 468 divided by 7, which gives me an average now of 66.86. Okay. So here, calculate and explain how the mean is affected with the 7-student score. We have calculated. Here's how it's affected, though. The 0 is going to drop the class average. By more than 11%. So that drops that class average more than a full letter grade.